Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Dragon Ball Xenoverse News Weekly Recap. I say Xenoverse News because it's all Xenoverse today, Xenoverse 2 and Xenoverse 3. First of all, we're going to be talking about all of this new Xenoverse 3 information that's coming out, maybe touching on the gameplay a bit, but mainly about the Super Saiyan 3 transformation, the backlash against it due to the timer, as well as some new customization options that seem very awesome, and just more general Xenoverse 3 information, and then Xenoverse 2 and how it potentially could connect to Xenoverse 3, yet still Xenoverse 3 is acting as a soft reboot. Not a hard reboot, but a soft reboot. We'll get into all of that and more. First of all, I want to give massive credit to Dalliance RNG on Twitter for this gameplay. He was able to go to DreamCon and get exclusive footage. Now, I say exclusive because it is his footage, but it was open to play for the general public, so that's pretty cool here. So yeah, I don't think we need audio because it's really just a lot of like convention noise. You can't even hear the gameplay, but so here we go. The transformation, very similar to, of course, seeing Goku's hair grow out, but you don't actually see the actual hair grow out. I'm assuming this is just an animation that plays for every hairstyle, so they've very cleverly done this. So if you can see here, the hair turns white and then it transforms. So basically every hairstyle is going to turn white, and then you're all going to get the same Super Saiyan 3 hair, which is very similar to Goku's, right? This is something that every Dragon Ball game has done. Xenoverse 2, Xenoverse 1, Super Saiyan 3 just looks like Goku's hair. The thing that I always found annoying was that, you know, it literally is like Goku's hair. But I guess it makes sense because up until Daima, we didn't see too much variancy in the Super Saiyan 3 hairstyles. We've seen some complaints about how it looks like Goku's hair. I understand where that's coming from, but again, Daima was where we finally got like a new look, and maybe that, you know, development on the Super Saiyan 3 hairstyles wasn't as far along whenever Daima revealed Super Saiyan 3 Goku, or Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, I should say. So again, we see some cool gameplay. Obviously, if you've been paying attention to my channel or any Xenoverse news, you would know that this just looks like the gameplay we've been getting. However, one thing you may not have noticed is the Super Saiyan timer. So that's right. The timer is not just for the soul switching mechanic that everybody else can get. If you're a Saiyan and you want to be a Super Saiyan, and I'm assuming this applies to other races with transformations, then there will be a strict timer set. So it looks like they had 6 seconds left on the Super Saiyan transformation here, and it looks like the Super Saiyan transformation will probably last around 61 seconds from what I've been able to gather. But you'll be able to build up your gauge for the next evolution, which is Super Saiyan 3. No word on Super Saiyan 2 just yet. But yeah, so you go from Super Saiyan, and then you do the Super Saiyan 3, and then boom. There's a 31-second timer on it now. So it looks like it's a nice way to buy yourself a little bit more time and, you know, another damage multiplier. Of course, people are upset about this. Me, I'm honestly upset as well. I know that in the previous Xenoverse game, from what I'm understanding, the damage multiplier was like 1.1 times, so it was like barely a bonus, but it was actually a transformation that you got to stay in. I wish that's what they did. So maybe instead you could have like transform into a regular Super Saiyan and have that be like a 1.1 times damage multiplier for your character, and then have Super Saiyan 3 be timed. That way it's timed just like soul switching. But if Super Saiyan 3 is timed, that makes sense with the canon because Super Saiyan 3 exhausts everybody who uses it. So it makes sense to naturally put a timer on that. That way they could have their cake and eat it too. If you want timers, go ahead and set a timer on Super Saiyan 3. That actually makes sense. But Super Saiyan doesn't ever really need a timer. It should not have a timer. So that's where I stand on it. I think there's a nice middle ground that hopefully the developers get to, because this game is still a year out. So hopefully they do something more like what I was suggesting. Alright, next up we have some updates from the Modding Corner, who also got to play, and he spent more time exploring around Capsule Corporation and the city, New City, West City, whatever we're calling it, and saw some more customization options for characters. So in case you're unfamiliar, the NPCs of the Xenoverse world are basically using, you know, custom character presets, you could say. Like, they're just basically custom characters. And so we have more information on some of the diversity and body builds that we're going to be getting. So this is the first character that we see here, more of a rounder character, right? And then if you go here, I think it was, yeah, around here, you actually see what appears to be a kid. This is not just a short person, which we got previously. This is actually a child. So it looks like they have the child build. They're thin, right? And their face does not look like a very mature face. It still looks like more of like how the faces were in Dragon Ball Online for the kid characters. So there you go. That's pretty cool. So we have child models and rounder models confirmed for custom characters. And then, yeah, the rest of this is more or less just what you might expect from what you've seen. Oh, and here's another thing that I should mention. The hats. So previously, if you had any accessories on that were hats, they would basically delete your hair. But it looks like with this, you can actually wear a hat and it keeps your hairstyle in place. So that's pretty cool. But there's one surprise which everybody's excited about. Again, shout out to the Modding Corner for this other gameplay video he was able to upload. And in it, we actually see a skinny Majin character that's male. At least it appears male from this angle. As you can see, like just the general build and the body shape, it looks more of like one of the male Majin characters, and they are thin. So finally, you can make your Majin thin. So male, and I'm assuming maybe female Majin can be round as well, just like the male Majin. Since they're going to add the ability to make male Majin thin, then maybe the female Majins will be able to be round as well. Alright, and here on Twitter, they uploaded a photo so you can see a little bit better. More, I guess you could say clearly, this does look to be a male Majin. So there's the information on just some general gameplay stuff from the Xenoverse 3 gameplay demo that they have going on at Dreamcom currently, and it's going to be going on around the US for their big tour thing. Now, I should say that the reason why I didn't go too in-depth with this gameplay is because we are going to be going over some controls. They released some information about the controls, and there's some backlash to that as well. But before we do, let's get into the naming. So if you can see here, you can see J-Age and J-Sin. So J-Age is the Super Saiyan or the Saiyan character's default name, and J-Sin is the female Earthling's default name. So I don't think it's supposed to be pronounced J-Age and J-Sin. I think it's just J-Age and J-Sin. Because according to Vinixis, he says, I'm becoming more and more convinced that their original official names were Age and Sin, 1000 in Japanese, and that they later added the J as a nod to John and Jane. And in case you're unfamiliar, John and Jane are basically the fan names that people gave these characters. Now, this could be a localization thing that is exclusive to the States, but I think this name was also spotted in the Japanese gameplay, so pretty cool reference that they have going on here for the community. That's obviously always fun. And then the reason why I said I didn't want to get too much into the gameplay, because there really wasn't anything new that was shown that we haven't already gotten, but the Modding Corner went ahead and showed this controller setup preview. So if we go ahead and look at this, we're actually seeing like basically how this game is different from Xenoverse 2. So it looks like lock-on is R3, okay? Heavy attack and light attack remains the same. Jump, the X button is a little bit different this time. So you can still fly and jump with the X button, things like that. But now the escape vanish is on the L1. So that's boost chase. L1 is escape vanish as well. Then you have the L2 and R2 being different. So used to, it was R2 and L2. So similar system here, but not exactly. So in Xenoverse 2, you would hold down the R2, and then if you wanted to pull up the other menu, you would hold down R2 and L2. Now, it's different. Now, it's just entirely separate mechanics here. So, L2 and R2 are going to be separately mapped, and you'll be able to see both on screen at the same time. And then, of course, we have the new information about soul switching, soul assist, and ultimate attack. Ultimate attack is still here, but it looks like soul assist will basically act as a second ultimate attack. And then soul switching is, of course, your transformations. So, kind of different from what we have expected. Step dodging is R1. Very interesting here. So a bunch of crazy stuff going on. And of course, this has generated its own backlash as well, but that's not too surprising. People are saying that this is playing too different from previous Xenoverse games. I'm not sure if I'm quite there yet. I think it's nice to have video games kind of evolve with their gameplay style as they go on, but I think the main core of Xenoverse is still here. Alright, and let's talk about what everybody was likely thinking about in the Xenoverse 2 DLC's ending for the Future Saga. You and Few actually go to the future. Now, I'm going to read off what Few says here because it's very interesting. So he says, okay, let's see, hopefully this links up without much of a hitch. Haha, I can only imagine what the future looks like these days. Ah, I promise I won't do anything to change history again, okay? It's just a peek. We'll take a quick look around the future and come back. There's no need for you to be on high alert or anything. Oh, looks like it's ready. Come on, let's take in the sights. And then we get this big shot of the new version of West City. Feels like, is this the future? Aha, amazing. Everything looks so new and exciting. And it's just a quick glimpse. It's completely different now. The worst outcome's gone, which is, of course, Few seeing that you're going to die and all that stuff. So, the worst outcome is gone. This is the new city, and this is officially connective tissue between Xenoverse 2 and 3, right? Maybe. Let's get into more of this. I guess you could call this a reaction. I've already seen this, but more like a breakdown, really, of the DLC and what it all means about the reboot and things like that. Then we have Few here saying the experiment is over. Oh, by the way, this footage was courtesy of Janemba 8000. DBS Hype re-uploaded it. The ring's out of power. It's completely spent. I have no reason to ever want to use it again, especially now that I kept my end of our promise. And the reason why I'm reading it is just because it's easier. Maybe you could hold on to it for me? Think of it as a symbol of my resolve. Oh, and of my gratitude to you. You kept on fighting and found a better future. I'm so glad. Thank you. And then, of course, we have the Supreme Kai of Time thing going on here and talking about you guys are busy and it's time to get back to work. But the reason why I wanted to talk about this is very simple. So, Few is talking about the future, and he gives you a glimpse of the future, and this has led many people to believe, oh, Few is going to be in Xenoverse 3, the Time Patrol is going to be back in Xenoverse 3, this is obvious. The reboot is still going on, but it's not as much of a reboot as we thought. Remember, they called God of War 2018 a reboot, even though it used the lore from previous God of War games. It was still mostly about a new story, and that's why they called it a reboot. It's more of a soft reboot, and I think they're aiming for maybe more of a softer reboot here, but it's still a reboot nonetheless, because Few does specifically say the ring's out of power. So, if you watch this part, you may think that, okay, they'll be able to travel back and forth between time and blah, blah, blah. But remember, this is the Time Patrol. They're set more around the age 850 territory. Not exactly 850, but just off the top of my head, they're more around age 850. So, they're more in charge of going back to the past and correcting the past. They technically have no reason to go to the future. And from Xenoverse 2's Time Patrol, the future is age 1000. This is stuff that Few was specifically told not to mess with, and he promises not to mess with the future again. So, what we're looking at here is Few handing the ring to your character as a keepsake, as a cool reference, and I believe what we're looking at here is just a fun reference to get fans excited for Xenoverse 3. I don't think this is them confirming that the Time Patrol is going to be in Xenoverse 3. I don't think they're saying Few is going to be a supporting character, but there was some very interesting data mining that went on that could say otherwise. So according to iSmash the Rat Smasher, he says, found some unused dialogue that's meant to play after Few takes the player to the future, talking about getting spotted by the Xenoverse 3 custom character. The scene in-game skips over this dialogue and goes to entry 4. So I'm going to play this entire thing uninterrupted, and then we'll talk about it. Let's get into it.
That was a real shocker. But we should have been invisible to everyone in that time period. I can't believe someone could see us. I wonder, who was that person? If I'm being honest, they reminded me of you. Similar vibes.
So he does say they remind me of you, similar vibes. This is obviously, of course, a reference to the Xenoverse 3 custom character. And so some people have seen this, and obviously they've come to the conclusion, combining it with this information here, that of course they are linking them up somehow. And they are. But what I'm thinking is going on here, what obviously I think is the case, is that this was cut for a reason. Because this never happened, right? This was maybe at one point what was going to take place, but it was cut for a reason. So your custom character in Xenoverse 3 does not spot few. At one time, they may have planned something around that. I think that's obviously not the case anymore. So what I think is going on here now is that, like I said, this is more of a soft reboot. So Xenoverse 3's story is going to entirely be focused still on some time travel aspects, right? But completely separate from the Time Patrol and completely separate from the story of Xenoverse 1 and 2. Now, I've made a video before talking about why they would want to reboot and why it makes sense to reboot. And since then, I've made several videos going over the reboot, or what I perceive to be the reboot, why I think it's obvious, things like that. So I wanted to make this segment of the video and really talk about it and go in depth, because the ending of the DLC, it does lead most people to believe that this is the connective tissue. And of course it is. Like, there's no two ways about it. Xenoverse 2 is showing the future of Xenoverse 3, but I'm not thinking that Xenoverse 3 will go back into the past of Xenoverse 2 to the Time Patrol of age 850. If the Time Patrol, for some reason, does have some involvement, it would be the Time Patrol of age 1000, which would then mean that there would be different characters. Now, Few is from the Demon Realm, and maybe they would again do some soft rebooting and change the lore of Xenoverse 1 and 2 into Xenoverse 3, and soft reboot Fuse. That way he's no longer from the Demon Realm of Xenoverse 1 and 2, and more or less be from the Demon Realm of Dragon Ball Daima. And so if you guys remember, in Dragon Ball Daima, the demons were living a long time. So I could see them making that part of the story. So maybe if Few was in Xenoverse 3, I could see that happening, and they do some soft rebooting of Few and things like that. That would make sense as well. And obviously, they would need to do some soft rebooting of the Demon Realm from Xenoverse 1 and 2 if they do decide to include more of it in Xenoverse 3, just to make it more in line with Daima. So yeah, kind of complicated, kind of getting into the weeds on this one. Hopefully you guys understand where I'm coming from on this one, and hopefully you see what I'm saying. I'm not saying like Xenoverse 1 and 2 are going to be erased entirely. That's never been what I have been talking about. I've always been talking about a reboot, a full reboot, a soft reboot. It kind of varies, you know what I'm saying? Because obviously it's going to need to be rebooted, and there are some things that they're going to do a full reboot on. Like I said before, Demigra as a character just cannot exist, right? There are no evil Kai demon beings, you know, that just doesn't exist anymore. There are just Glend that are good, or they stayed behind in the demon realm because they're mean, like Degasu. And there's no like demonic Kai, because they're all Glens who are demons. So yeah, like I said, tons of reboots, and like I said, it's more of like a soft reboot. So hopefully you guys see where I'm coming from. If you have any questions in the comments, I would love to address them and talk about this with you, because this is definitely open to discussion. But yeah, this is appears to be what we're looking at here. Again, this makes the most sense to me. But yeah, also, before I end the video, I should let you guys know, you're probably hearing like a different mic quality. I've said in the previous video, we got some pretty bad heat where I'm at right now, and I got to have the AC on. But I played around with the microphone settings and did my best to kind of make it to where you can't really hear the AC. And of course, it changed the quality of the microphone. So if you could, please let me know in the comments how it sounds. Does everything sound okay? Does it sound better than it did before? If it did, I might just keep it like this. But yeah, it looks like we ran almost 20 minutes today. But the reboot conversation was definitely complex to navigate, a little bit more complicated than people give it credit for. It's not a full, like, hardcore 100% reboot, It is a full reboot of certain concepts, and it's a soft reboot of other concepts. And of course, as we get closer to release, we'll have more information about what exactly is going on with this game and the lore. But so far, it seems to be entirely focused on the Great SAIYAN squad. It seems to be entirely focused on time travel that does not have to do with the Time Patrol. Like I said, the Time Patrol is around the age 850 area. If the Time Patrol does appear in age 1000, it would be a different central cast of characters. Things like that. So hopefully you see where I'm coming from. If you do enjoy this video, please leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to keep up to date with all things Dragon Ball news and commentary. And I will catch you in the next one. Peace off.